and welcome to the Sugar Bell Review, a program dedicated to learning about the people, places, and policies that make up the Bellbrook Sugarcreek community. Tonight we have with us Sue Jeffery, the head librarian at Winters Library. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm excited to learn all about this. We know that the Winters Library is an amazing part of our little town, but I know things have had to change significantly in the last few months for the normal routine. So I would love to get the down low on how everything is now working at the library for people.
Right. Well, of course, you know, with what's going on with the COVID-19, we had to close down from March to May. But we spent that time working hard trying to figure out how we could open again and do it safely. We know that the library is really important to the community. So we started with something that a lot of libraries across the country are doing, and that's curbside service. Restaurants are doing that, so why not us?
Yeah.
People had been putting holds on their items, you know, and wanted to pick the stuff up. We didn't blame them.
They were at home for a lot.
They were home with their children for a long time. So we got curbside going relatively quickly. Hardworking team just put it together. People can pull up the back of our library, call the number on the sign, we run the items right out to them. It works great. But, you know, of course, people wanted to come inside, and so we had to come up with, you know, safe procedures inside as well. We had to eliminate seating. That's a big problem, so people can't read inside. So sad. But we also had to separate our computer stations and eliminate a couple of those for safety, and the arrows and everything that you see in stores now, and masking all the staff. But we do have additional things. For example, when you first walk in, we have a display area with some bundles of books, bundles of movies. They're for the families, and they can come in, a mom can come in, just grab maybe a six-pack of books on dinosaurs or some Disney movies. They're right there. Check them out and go. We also have moved our holds out to the floor so that people don't have to, if they don't want to. I know a lot of people miss us, but they can go up and grab their stuff, check it out, and go. Those are the quick things that someone might see when they come in.
Do you have to check out with the librarian, or do you have a self-checkout available?
Yeah, that's a good point. We added a second self-check station. So right next to where the holds are, you can check out right at the checkout, and someone's there to help you. We understand that they're new for some people, and sometimes they can be tricky.
Well, technology, right?
Right. All best laid plans. Mm-hmm. But, you know, they're right there on the floor. There's two pretty far apart from each other, so there's no
cross-contamination.
That's exactly right. And then they can still come up and see us at the station.
Or at least wave.
Right.
Yeah, waving is good. We can still wave.
We love to visit with everybody, but we're trying to be safe at the same time.
Now, I know you, when we spoke earlier, you were discussing the difference between bundles and home collections, which is something else you guys have started offering too. So what's the difference between the bundles, which you spoke of, where it's little collections of similar things, so books on science or books on Barbies, and then the home collection. So how are those different?
So home collection is a brand new thing we're offering, and I really hope everyone checks this one out. There's an online form. It's right on the front page of our website, and you just fill it out with things like, you know, if you want a children's collection, you can say, I have a 6-year-old who likes baseball, and I have a preteen who likes whatever. And then for myself, I really enjoy some mysteries. Do you have any new mysteries? The librarians will get that form and curate a collection between 20 and 75 items, put it together, check it out for you, and then you can do the curbside service and pick it right up.
And it's just all kind of a surprise based on your preferenit's.
A lot of people are saying it's like Christmas. You know, they get their bags and they don't know what's going to be in there, and you know, if it's an adult collection, I work on them, and I'll put in a little handwritten note saying, well, I couldn't get you this book, but, you know, put it on your hold list, or did you know your favorite author has a new book coming out in September? So there's little added touches that we like to put in there.
Yeah, and so you have a librarian for every age group, and you do the adults then?
So yeah, so me, and there's another adult services librarian, Brenna, who will do the adult side. Joanne everyone knows Joanne. Miss Joanne will do the children's side. And then we have a teen librarian, Amanda, who will handle the teens. Now, I should say that we're all well-read. So if I get a collection and it's romance, I know Joanne loves romance novels. And I might say, hey, what's new?
Yeah, I can understand that. We all sort of have our preferences for genre. So if you've got somebody who's a little more familiar with a certain area, it might help to use their expertise.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, speaking of your website, what is available through it? Because I know that you were just saying the home collections are available through the website, but the website is such an impressive tool to use through the system. And I know you guys were mentioning things that I had no idea what could be done through the website.
Right, right.
I would love to be a little more filled in on how that works.
Sure. Well, we are 63 resources. I counted them myself. There are 63 resources that you can find on our website. And you have everything from Ancestry.com to, if you want to do some genealogy research. We've had people come into the library as of late saying, my grandfather grew up in this town. What can you tell me about where he could possibly be laid to rest, or any information about where he went to school? And that sort of thing can be found on our website. Legal forms are kind of popular right now. People are doing some preparations. Those can be found through our website as well with your library card. Something I've been taking advantage of is music lessons. So
music lessons?
Yeah. My husband strangely gave me a ukulele years ago. And so while we were closed down, I said, wait a minute, the library has ukulele lessons. And sure enough, yes, you could take vocal lessons, any instrument. There's art classes, language learning, and then, of course, all the traditional things you would think of for schools, the World Book Encyclopedia and research, things like that. So, like I said, there's 63 of them. I couldn't possibly name them all.
The one that caught my attention, obviously, being a child of the movie generation, is apparently there's some sort of streaming for television and movies.
Right. So a lot of our patrons already know this, so it's not a huge secret, but we have several apps that we work in collaboration with. And one of them is called Hoopla, and you can stream movies or you can download them. Movies, music, audiobooks, and e-books. Right from that site. We have other apps as well. Magazines, if you're a magazine fan. We have an app called Flipster. We have Overdrive for ebooks and audiobooks. We have RB Digital for audiobooks and movies.
So if one doesn't have the one you're looking for, someone else probably does.
Yes, yes. And Acorn TV is British TV that a lot of people tend to want to check those out. Well, it's nice that we can stream those too.
Yeah, and there is also the ability to get books from all over the place. I think we were discussing that
right.
if you guys don't have it, obviously they can be checked out from the broader Greene County library system.
Right.
But if the broader Greene County library system doesn't have it, there may be ways to still get it from another library, right?
Yeah, we have a large network that's all around Ohio through all of the public libraries and the universities. So if we can't find it in Greene County, we often can find it at Columbus or Dayton or up at Bowling Green, and they'll send it down to us. Now, I do have to say that has been closed because of COVID, and a certain percentage of the libraries need to be open before they'll move materials around again. But the good news is by the end of the month, it should be opening back up.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And all those resources, so that if we do close back down again,
yeah.
we at least know we can find ebooks and audiobooks and
sure.
movies and TV.
Sure. And I think one of the most valuable resources, a lot of people will agree, are the librarians behind the desk. Yeah. People will come in and they know kind of what they want, and they might not know how to get there. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're there for.
It's this green book, and it was something about murders, and I think I saw it on an ad in Facebook.
Yeah, and there was like a flower on the front.
Yep, exactly. I'm sure you've had some pretty interesting questions over the years. Now, how long have you been at the Winters Library?
So I'm new at the Winters Library relatively. I started last September when Joellen retired. She was a magnificent librarian and just giant shoes to fill, but I came from the Cedarville Library, where I was for 5 years, and I've been with Greene County as a whole at different locations for about 9 years now. Yeah.
Did you always want to be a librarian?
I think I did, but I didn't do that. I think I always, even as a child, played library. But I grew up in New England, and I ended up going to school for computer science, which was, at the time, not really a lot of women were going into that field. So it was kind of exciting to do that over choosing to be a librarian. Nothing wrong with being a librarian, it's just that that's where the society was at the time. And I married my husband, Chris, and he's military.
Okay.
So we up and were sent to Japan soon after we got married. And
that must have been a rough transition.
Yeah, so we lived overseas for about 10 years. It was really hard to keep up with my career. At the end of that overseas experience, we landed in Ohio. My husband retired, and so it was time for me to find that second career. It was really easy. I started as a clerk in Greene County and said, this is it.
So I'm happy here.
Got my degree and became a children's librarian and right up to head. So I've just been loving it.
So you've done all the different age levels too, and
Yeah.
yeah. Now there's got to be a difference between working the children's section and working with the adults now.
Yeah, there definitely is, but you know, I can't say I like one more than the other. I really enjoy doing story times, but I just love the folks that are really deep readers and finding that one book for them regardless of their age. And I love managing my staff. They're a great staff to work with, so I think the broad experience is what attracts me to being a head librarian.
Now with the adult programs that I obviously probably aren't running right now, or
Right.
what were your favorites and which are the ones you're looking the most forward to bringing back when we're all safe to sort of gather and enjoy those book club type things?
Right. So my favorite thing about being a head librarian is community building. You know, I'm not doing this job for the books. I love being part of the community, and I love getting myself out there and working with the community. So we had scheduled this whole summer a walk and talk book club with the parks, where everyone can read a book, and then we meet up in the Sweet Arrow Reserve and do a 2-mile loop while we talk about a book. Those were all, unfortunately, we had to cancel them for the most part. We might be able to do one this fall towards, you know, as things hopefully simmer down a little bit. But that's one thing I'll be definitely putting in place for next year. I love the collaborations with the parks, and I'm always seeking for opportunities in the community like that.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, we're grateful you're with us. I think we talked about it, and there's being able to utilize the website and maybe having kind of a walkthrough was going to be a part of this interview. So one of the things I think we may do is we may close the interview a little early so that we can add on an actual maybe walkthrough through the computer so that people can actually see how to use the new setup, because you'd said it had changed slightly, and so being able to walk through and have that ability to sort of, here's where you go for this and here's where you go for this, and I think we're going to arrange that, and we may add that to the end of the interview. So rather than going over and making this extra long, I'd like to say thank you for joining us.
Sure.
And it was a pleasure to learn about it was a pleasure to learn about you and the new changes, the library, to help kind of continue to community build while we're dealing with a less than optimal situation.
Right.
And we're so glad you could join us.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful evening, and hopefully you'll stay watching after the credits, and we will have a brief little tutorial how to use the library's new website so that it's a little less confusing for those of you that aren't familiar with it. We'll see you next time.
Here's our website. At the top, you see this yellow banner with relevant information about COVID. This is also where you can find our home collection request form. Here you see, it's just a form to fill out, telling us what you'd like to receive, and choosing which library you'd like to pick up your collection. the librarians will put together a nice collection for you, for your whole family. Also at the top, we have here some events. They're all virtual right now, but you might find something there for your children or for yourself. Here's our online resources that we spoke about. You can see here, you can have them listed by subject, or over here, alphabetically. Here's where you can find the Ancestry.com, some legal forms, and also some of our apps that we have. Down the bottom, there's some frequently asked questions that might help you if you're having trouble with our Overdrive or Hoopla apps. Back on our main page, you can see we're still doing Summer Reading Club. We have some virtual story times. And here's our apps that we spoke of: Hoopla, Overdrive, Flipster, this is the magazine one, and RB Digital, which has audiobooks and TV.